Hello, and welcome to the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lily Badcock, and I am a transformational confidence coach helping you to thrive in spite of anxiety. Each week, I will be sharing interviews with guest experts from around the world who have lived through their own experiences and who now help others to do the same. I will also be sharing the tangible steps you can take to start managing your own anxiety. It's my aim to reach as many people as possible with the message that no matter what you're going through, no matter what your struggle may be, there is hope, and there is a way to create an amazing life for yourself. The incredible people I've been blessed to interview are walking, talking examples of how this is possible, and I truly hope you will find their stories inspiring, uplifting, and motivational. The conversations are very open and candid, and occasionally may include some adult language, so please take care when listening around little ones or grab some headphones. This podcast series is brought to you in association with Lily Badcock Confidence Coaching, offering private and group coaching to help you thrive in spite of anxiety. If you're ready to ditch the stress and frustration of battling anxiety every day, why not visit www.lilybadcock.com to see how I can help. There are free resources available to download and start using straight away, plus the option to sign up for ongoing coaching if you wish. Before we dive in, don't forget to leave a review for us on iTunes and to check out the links in the podcast notes to the free resources we have available for you. But for now, let's get you on your way to living your epic life anxiety-free. Because remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Tuesday. My name is Lily Badcock and you're listening to the Confidence Academy podcast. And today I am doing a live broadcast at the same time, right here live in the Facebook group. So hello to everybody who's joining me there as well. So as I've just been explaining in the group, we've had a couple of weeks break. And that is because I welcomed my very beautiful daughter, Sophia Grace, to the world 2 weeks ago today, in fact, which I can't believe. I don't even know where 2 weeks has gone. And I know I'll be saying that, before I know it, she'll be 18 and I'll be saying the same thing. But the time really does fly. However, I have missed the podcast and I'm really, really excited to be back. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for being here with me. So the way this is going to work, each week, I'm going to be coming to you every Tuesday and every Friday as before, and the Tuesday sessions are going to run as a live Q&A, so that means people that want to show up live and ask me questions can do, or if you want to submit your questions to me in advance, you can do that as well, and I will reference them on the podcast. But I also wanted to introduce this new element called the Confident Mummy Diaries. So for those people in the Facebook group, I'm really sorry this is boring because I've just said all this to you, but I'm going to repeat it for those people listening on the podcast. So the Confident Mummy Diaries is basically going to be a weekly diary where I'm going to check in and just let you know how my week has gone, how I'm feeling, what's going on, what's happened, and basically just update you. I want it to be real, I want it to be raw. If you're watching me right now, you're going to see that I haven't brushed my hair, let alone washed it. I'm still in yesterday's clothes. It's a good job you can't smell through the screen because it wouldn't be pretty. But the whole point of that is this is real and this is what it's like. And obviously I have a 2-week-old daughter. I will get a shower. I just didn't do it yet. So I wanted to do this because I thought, as well as helping me, because obviously, your hormones and your feelings are all over the place when you've had a baby. And in fact, when anything is new in your life, it can be a bit of a roller coaster ride anyway. But specifically, when you have children, it's obviously a known fact that your hormones are everywhere. And you can feel on top of the world 1 minute and completely down and out the next. And I was first diagnosed with my GAD after having my second son. And I really struggled at that time because, number one, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only person going through it. I didn't think anyone else would understand, and therefore I felt like I'd failed and that I was doing it all wrong, and that I'd made a mistake to have another child because it obviously hadn't happened the first time. And that's not the case at all. And so part of this is that I'm hoping that if somebody else watches this or listens to this who is maybe feeling that way, they'll realise that they're not on their own at all, that this happens to the best of us. Sorry, my husband has just popped in. This is a live broadcast, everyone. Hi, Kev. Oh, okay. Oh, this is really live. Okay, guys, I'm going to be back. I'm going to pause the podcast. I just have to give my midwife some notes. 2 seconds. And I'm back. Sorry for that little interlude. If you're on the podcast, you won't have noticed much. But if you're on the live video, you guys are still with me. Yay! Thanks for sticking around. Sorry, that was my midwife. I had to give her my notes. So I've just been discharged, literally this second. So you really are getting this blow by blow. So where was I? So yeah, the whole reason behind doing this was I wanted, for myself, I thought it would help if I'm sharing these feelings, because I think internalizing these feelings when we feel like we're not worth much, or if we feel like we're failing, internalizing that is the worst thing we can do. And you'll know this, anything that resides in your head and isn't allowed out always feels a million times worse than the things that you are just able to speak about. So if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night worrying about something, you'll know that it feels, in that moment, it feels a million times worse than when you get up in the morning and the sun's up and you maybe mention it to your partner and go, oh God, in the night I was worried about blah, blah, blah. You start to think, oh, actually that was a worry, but here's how I can fix it. Whereas when it's just residing in your head, all you can see is the worry and all you can feel is the negative emotion around that. So I thought for me, it might help if I am having a wobbly day or a wobbly week, or maybe feeling like I'm not doing the right thing, it would maybe help to share that. And I also thought it might help, anyone else who's watching who maybe hasn't experienced this before, who's maybe feeling these anxious thoughts or, these feelings of not being good enough for the first time. It's going to help them to realise that you're not on your own. It is completely normal, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, which is the most important thing. So these Confident Mummy Diaries, as I was saying before, I struggled with whether to call it the Confident Mummy or the Anxious Mummy, because I think the point is I'm both of those things. I have moments where I feel like I'm on top of my game and it's all going well, and I haven't managed this yet, but when you get all your kids out the door on time and you're not late and nobody's pooed on anything, and you feel like you're winning at life. And then you have other days where you can't even get yourself up and, you just think, oh my God, how am I even functioning? So I am a confident mummy at times, and I'm a totally anxious mummy at times as well. And I think what I've learned is both are completely fine, both are completely normal, and both are completely necessary. Sometimes it's necessary to feel anxious. It's, you do want to be kind of aware of what's going on with your children and yourself as well, and then adjust those things that aren't working. And it's also okay to feel confident sometimes. It's okay to say, yeah, do you know what, I did a good job today. So that's what these diaries are going to be all about. So for today, I'm just going to catch you up from the start. So 2 weeks ago, I had my baby girl, and it was a really odd thing. Now, if you followed me before, you'll know that I'm a massive fan of mindset. I'm a massive fan of positive visualization. I believe that what we focus on expands. I believe we can create our reality. And I had been very, very open and flexible about how the birth was going to go. So when the midwife said to me, what's your birth plan? I literally said, I don't have one. Like, let's not write anything down, because previously I'd written these elaborate birth plans, and then that was a source of anxiety when I realised that I couldn't get the pain relief, or I couldn't get in the pool, or all the things I wanted to do, because the truth is your baby's going to come when they want, and they're going to come how they want, and they don't give a crap about your birth plan. And so this time I just thought, well, I'm not even going to write one. Get the baby delivered, keep her safe. If I survive, that's a bonus. Let's just leave it at that. But the one thing I said was I didn't want to be induced, because I was induced with my first child and I found it a really traumatic experience. I didn't like it. It was, for me, being induced was worse than actually giving birth. It was far worse. And I had all these memories of that, and it took 2.5 days to even have the kid. It literally was just the worst thing. And so my one thing was, I don't want to be induced, I don't want to go through that, I want to do it naturally. And I went for a scan 2 weeks ago today, and they said that my baby was small for gestational age, and she'd been tracking a little bit small all along, and so they said, you know, we're going to induce you today, we want to get her out. So I was like, oh nuts, like the one thing that I said I didn't want to do, I actually, you know, it did actually come around. But I very quickly, instead of worrying about it, I allowed the feelings of anxiety to come up. It's natural, you know, it's a very weird thing being induced, because it's almost like you're signing yourself up for immense pain. Like, you know what's coming. If you've had kids before, you know what you're signing yourself up for, and you're kind of voluntarily going, yeah, okay, let's do it. Obviously, when you're going to have a baby, you know that's going to come eventually, but there's just something about saying to somebody, yes, please, you know, do these procedures, that is going to kick it all off, that feels a little bit unnatural and a bit weird. We may have to bring Sophia in at this point. Is she hungry? Bring her in, that's alright, she can be on the podcast. She's the star of the show. Could you turn off the heat though? It's very warm in here. Honestly, it's like a sauna in here. So, this is Sophia, everybody. If you're on the video, here she is. Ah. And she's hungry, so I am going to feed her. But hopefully Facebook won't take the video down. I don't think you're going to see anything, so it's fine. But we've got to keep the baby happy. Yes, we have. Yeah, so the first thing was, like, the one thing that I'd kind of said I didn't want to experience, that I didn't want to do, ended up being what had to happen. But that was my first opportunity to really test my mindset around this, because when I had my other two children, it was prior to me doing any of this self-development work and being aware of any of this mindset stuff. So I was very curious to know actually if it was going to work. And for everything I talk about, and you know, and everything I believe in, I was like, wow, this is going to be the real test, you know, is the mindset stuff really going to work? So the first thing I had to do was kind of get myself over the anxiety of the fact that they were going to induce me. I immediately became really aware of a load of beliefs that came up around that. So when they said they wanted to induce me, I immediately thought, oh, well, that obviously means then that I'm going to have to go on a drip, and that I'm going to have an epidural, and that means that it's going to go really slowly, and then therefore my baby's going to get stuck, because that's what happened before. And what I was able to do in that moment was think, oh, okay, well, that's kind of curious, because there's nothing to say that that is going to happen. I recognise those beliefs as not incorrect, but I recognise that they just came from my previous experience, and then I recognised that it didn't have to be that way, and that maybe it would be that way, but it wasn't a given. So that was the first kind of test where I was like, well, okay, yes, it might mean that. At the end of the day, it was all still fine. They still delivered my baby. It was all still fine. He's a very healthy 6-year-old now. So I was like, you know, even if the worst thing happens, I still know I'm going to be okay. But I was also able to think to myself, well, perhaps it won't be that way this time. Maybe it will work out slightly different. So that was the first thing. And then they broke my waters, and it took hours and hours and hours. On my notes, it said in total I was there, I think, 10.5 hours. But the labour itself was only like 2.5 hours. So my body, it appears, doesn't get the memo. You know, when they break my waters, when they get everything going, my body doesn't get the memo that, okay, this is what's happening. So I was there for hours and hours, and they were saying, oh, do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? And I was like, no. And they kept saying, oh, you know, you must be really tough, because, you know, you're having contractions and you're not really feeling them. And whilst part of me was like, okay, yep, maybe I'm a total badass and I can take these contractions, the other part of me was thinking, but I know it does get worse than this, and at what point is this all going to kick off? So all the way along, I was kind of anticipating this pain that was coming, and I'd made the decision that this birth was going to be very zen and very calm, because my first wasn't a calm experience. It was a very long experience, but you know, you're terrified when it's your first child. You're absolutely terrified, because you don't know what's going on. You've not had those feelings before. Like, everything's very strange. with my second, he came so fast that it was all very frantic. So this time I was like, well, it will be really lovely to breathe through it and be very zen and very chilled. And to be honest, I think I did manage to stick to that mostly. I definitely lost my shit towards the end, but that's fine. But I was telling myself that as painful or as uncomfortable as it got, it was a sign that my baby was coming and that this was something I was doing and that I was empowered to do that and that I was capable of doing that. And I kept just remembering how amazing it felt when I had my other two children and how beautiful it is when they're actually born and all the feelings that come with that. So I made it my mission to stay focused on that. And like I say, like I definitely lost my shit. It got to a point where I asked for the epidural because it was getting very painful. And 10 minutes later, the anaesthetist came in, and by that point, it was too late. So, like, my body literally in that moment was like, no, you said you didn't want an epidural, so you're not getting one. And I really believe that is what happened, because I literally went from 5 centimetres to 10 in 10 minutes. And by the time the poor guy arrived with all his stuff and his little spiel about what he was going to do, Sophia was trying to arrive. So that moment, that was a test actually, that moment when I realised that once again I was going to have to do this without the pain relief. I'll admit a little bit of panic set in, but then immediately I was like, well, it is what it is then, let's do it. And to be really honest, after that point, I was really able to channel the energy through. So yes, it's tiring, yes, it's painful, yes, it's like nothing you'll ever experience, but I really felt like every contraction, I felt like it counted, like I could really feel I was doing something, and I was really grateful for that. So I was able to use gratitude even in the middle of all of that commotion and all of that stuff going on. I realised that what I wanted I couldn't have. What I wanted was pain relief, I couldn't have that. I literally could have gas and air, and that was it. So in that moment I realised that I still had a choice. I could have let that derail me, and I could have panicked and kind of squawked my way through it and just got through, or I could feel empowered and I could actually say, okay, well then it is what it is, let's get this done. And that's what I chose to do. So I was really proud of myself, and my husband as well, because I kept saying, I'm going to use mindset, I'm going to use mindset. And when I asked for the epidural, he was like, what about the mindset? And I was like, mate, I'm not getting a medal for this, like, bring on the pain relief. So there was this element, I'll admit I did lose a bit of faith in it in that moment, but I was very lucky to then have the opportunity to see it through regardless. I don't know what it was. I do believe when we want something at a core level, we don't allow it anything different to happen. And because on a core level I didn't want the epidural, I'd said it all along, I do think subconsciously something just kicked off in my body, and it was like, no, you didn't want the epidural, so why are you asking for it? Let's just escalate it to a point where you don't have a choice. And so in that moment I was able to make an empowered choice and to say, okay, let's do this, let's believe that we can, and let's not panic about it. And then we got it done. So I felt really proud of myself for doing that. I felt very fortunate in hindsight that I didn't get the epidural, although it definitely kind of sucked at the time. But almost immediately I was grateful for that, because then I knew she was coming, and I didn't have long to wait, and I was actually able to do it all myself. And so yeah, I was ultimately very pleased, but I will admit to a small moment of panic when I realised that Steve the anaesthetist wasn't going to get to do his thing. So that was it, and then she was born. She was literally born about 15 minutes after that. It didn't take long at all. And this is her now, everyone, and she's kind of passed out on milk because I've just fed her, but she's totally gorgeous. I'll say, so far, I haven't really had a sniff of the anxiety. I didn't even get many baby blues this time. There was one evening where I cried uncontrollably about something that wasn't much. It was definitely what seemed like an overreaction, but I recognised at the time that it was the hormones. I think once I'd unleashed the the first tear, it was like a floodgate. But that's been the only day. I haven't really struggled with it too much since then. The tiredness gets difficult, obviously because they don't always sleep, so sometimes I'm a little bit grouchy. But so far, I'm feeling very blessed. I'm feeling really, really excited to be a mummy. I'm feeling very, very lucky. And I mean, look, she's very gorgeous. She's very gorgeous. If you're listening to the podcast, you can come into the Facebook group, the Confidence Academy podcast Facebook group, and check out this video, and then you'll actually see her, although she is fast asleep right now. But that's it. Moving forward, I'm going to be here every Tuesday just sharing what's happened that week, what I've been through, how I'm feeling, what I'm doing. One thing I will say is I have felt really out of whack. Not as a mum, I've felt very connected and aligned as a mum, but everything else has felt very far away from me. I've felt really removed from my business. I've been feeling very removed from all of my vision and everything I was working on prior to Sophia arriving, which has been difficult for me. But yesterday I journaled for the first time and I felt heaps better after doing that. So if journaling isn't something you've tried before, highly recommend it. I will be sharing more about what I do on a daily basis and what I do on an ongoing basis. The main message I want to get out on this episode though is everything is perfect even when it all feels like it's going to rat shit. You know, my anxiety came as a result of me feeling like I had to have it together all of the time. And now I know that I don't have to have it together all of the time, and that it's completely fine to sometimes fall apart, and it's completely fine to have no idea what you're doing, and it's totally fine to ask for support from others. When I realised that, a lot of the anxiety lifted and a lot of that stress went away. So that's the main message I want to put out on this first episode, is that you're not supposed to have it all together. It's not all supposed to be pretty. It's not supposed to be perfect. And that's actually really funny because at that point my laptop died and I lost connection with my live broadcast and with this recording as well. So just as I was saying that it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be pretty, obviously it was not perfect and was not pretty, and I just think that's kind of perfect in itself. So welcome back. I'm just going to reconnect to the live Facebook group as well. But I kind of had wrapped up. I just wanted to really get that point across that, you know, sometimes it's the belief that we're supposed to have it all together that actually causes more of the anxiety in the first place. And, you know, I think I said this to someone recently. We look around and we're all doing the same thing. You know, we are all doing the best that we know how to do. We are all striving to get to the next level or the next place. Like, everyone has dreams about where they're going and what they're doing, and everyone has doubts about whether they can make it too. And yet we're all walking around trying to pretend like we don't have those doubts and trying to pretend like we've got it all together. And actually, I even see people now that are basing entire businesses on this idea that, you know, once upon a time they struggled and now they don't struggle anymore and they've got it all together. And actually I'm calling BS on that, because I think we're always evolving, we're always learning, and it's not always a pretty process. And, you know, I think the more of us who feel like it's okay to be like that, and the more people that realise that, you know, it doesn't have to be this kind of polished up version that we all see on social media and on the TV, then the more people are going to feel a lot more free in their life and not so riddled with anxiety the whole time. You know, I actually came off social media back in September because I found that, you know, it was no longer inspiring and motivating me. It was just making me feel crap, because I was looking at all of these, you know, polished kind of front of shop windows, if you like, of, you know, the way people were portraying their lives. And although I know that that probably isn't always the way it is for them, it was starting to cause me to then look at my life and feel like, well, why is yours such a shit hot mess? Like, why has everyone else got it together? Why do these people all seem to be able to do it and you don't? And I was able to recognise that actually that's not the truth. That's just what they want us to see. And it's not something to judge ourselves against. You know, it's like opening up a magazine and looking at an airbrushed photograph and then beating yourself up that your body doesn't look that way. It's just a portrayal. It's one kind of version of something that somebody's presenting to you. But there's definitely this underlying current of belief that either we're supposed to have it all together, or that we're all supposed to be enlightened, and this kind of positivity movement. And this is going to be weird coming from me, because I love positivity and I love self-development and I love goal setting and I love all of this motivating and inspiring stuff. However, I do feel now that there's this kind of unspoken pressure that, like, we're all supposed to be bouncy and happy all the time, and that certainly was my experience, because I was trying to portray that on one level, and then on the real level, obviously I was struggling. I'm a human being. This is the way it is. But in that moment, I didn't recognize that, and I thought, oh my God, like, I must be a total failure as a human being, because I know the power of positive thinking, and I know the power of affirmations and all this other stuff that I've read about, and yet I can't do it, because today I feel like shit and I want to stay in my bed and cry about it. And it became a stick to beat myself with. So, as I was saying before my laptop cut me off, I wanted this to be the message for this episode to just be that however bumpy it seems, however imperfect it seems, it's all perfectly perfect as it is. And sorry, I'm just getting back onto the live stream as I speak to you guys as well. But that's like the main thing that I want to put across, because I feel like that's the starting point. If you are reading self-development books, and if you're, I don't know, listening to somebody else's motivating story, and then feeling bad that hasn't happened to you yet, then that's why I'm speaking to you now, because it's great to hear about people that are doing well, and it's great to hear that that they figured it out. It doesn't mean they figured it all out. It just means they figured out that element of it. There's still going to be something that tests them. I believe that's what life is about. It's a journey. We're ever evolving. There's always something else that's going to come along and test us. And I think it's about expecting that and not trying to resist it. So before I say any more, I'm just going to get back on this live stream. So here we go. Wait for the countdown, and we are back. Hello everyone on Facebook. So I've still been chatting on the podcast, so it's going to be a little bit disjointed. I did say I thought it was quite funny that as I was making the point that everything doesn't have to be perfect and everything doesn't have to be pretty, that was the moment my laptop chose to die. I mean, it's my fault. I didn't plug it in to its little power charger, so I will take responsibility for that. But I thought that timing was brilliant. So I was just wrapping up really, and just saying that that was the main message I wanted to get across, and I think there's no better way of doing that than with this kind of disjointed podcast episode that I've ended up with today. Because I could have let this stop me. I could have let the fact that I didn't do my hair today stop me. I could have let the fact that there's no makeup on my face stop me. I could have let the fact that I'm still in my pajamas stop me. There's a bunch of things that I could have, a bunch of ideas and beliefs I could have bought into that would have resulted in me not sharing this broadcast, not sharing this podcast episode, not getting back on the horse. But the point is, hopefully this has helped somebody. If it has helped you, please let me know. But hopefully this has helped somebody, and this has shown somebody that you press on regardless. You don't wait for perfection. You just do what feels right in the moment, even if it's a little bit ratty and you didn't do your hair yet. And because the point of it is still there. The point is, hopefully somebody is going to listen to this, somebody's going to watch this, and be able to kind of let out a bit of a breath and go, oh, it's okay. It doesn't have to all be perfect. I don't have to have it all together. It's okay that I struggle in this way. It's okay that I have these feelings. Because in my experience, I didn't know that was okay. And for all of the motivating and inspiring stuff I was reading, it motivated me and inspired me to a point, and then it became a stick to beat myself with, because I started to think, well, that person's done it, but I haven't, so what's wrong with me? And oh, I can see the power of positive thinking, but today I don't feel positive, so therefore there must be something wrong with me. I really started to buy into this belief that I needed to be fixed. That, and I've spoken about this before, people talk a lot about limiting beliefs and blocks. You hear about money blocks or health blocks or whatever blocks we've built up in our brain, and I think those things exist, but I also think that for a lot of people, they then take that on and they go, oh my God, and now I've got all these blocks, and so therefore I can't achieve X, Y, and Z. And I'm sat here going, well, what if we can anyway? Like, what if you can still be happy, even if you've still got anxiety, even if you've still got your blocks? Like, what if you can still feel wealthy, even with a money block? What if you can still be healthy, even with a belief that maybe you're not healthy all the time? That's the point. I think it's very easy to buy into this idea that we have to fix ourselves, but what if there's nothing to fix? What if this is all perfect as it is? And what if you just crack on regardless? So that was really the point I wanted to get across. The other thing I wanted to touch on, because these Tuesday sessions are also Q&A, so you do have the opportunity to come on live and ask questions if you have questions. Obviously, anything that comes up as I'm doing these sessions, you can go ahead and ask. If you have a question any other time, then just tag me in the Facebook group or send me a private message and I'll make sure that I cover it in these Q&A sessions. What I want to cover today is something that I've been seeing a lot in some of the anxiety groups that I'm part of. And specifically, I'm in a couple of groups that are specifically for mums or new mums, people who have children and are suffering with anxiety or depression. Maybe as a result of that, or maybe not. Maybe for some people it's something they've always struggled with and now they happen to have children as well. And the thing I'm talking about is this idea that they're somehow failing. I want to say, I don't know one parent in the world who didn't feel at some point like they had failed or that they had not done a good job. Even with Sophia, she's been born 2 weeks. I sometimes, even now, I'm looking at her and thinking, oh my God, I don't know if I can show up for you the way you deserve, because you love them so much, you want to give them everything you can, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming, and it's very, very easy to then get into this thought process of, I'm not enough, I can't step up and do this job, maybe you've tried your best and you're not getting a result you want. It's very easy to tell yourself in that situation that you're failing. And this is something that I've seen, as I said, in some of the groups, even as recently as today, amazing mums who are doing amazing jobs, but are being tested because it's hard, and therefore feeling like they're failing, or therefore feeling like they didn't do a good job. And what I want to say about that is, I don't believe in failure. I think as long as you never gave up, as long as you're not quitting, you cannot fail. You cannot fail your children, as long as you are doing the very best you know how for them and for yourself as well. And sometimes that means if you need to have a day where you feel sad, or where you are, even if it's a day where you are beating yourself up, if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. But don't for 1 minute tell yourself that you're failing, please, because I think that belief then breeds, and the minute that gets in your head, then you will start to look for other ways that maybe you're failing, and it's like a vortex. It's going to suck you down. You're going to find more things in your life to beat yourself up about. So if you find that this is a thought process that you get where you're thinking, oh my God, I failed, or I didn't do a good job, try your very best to reframe that. And in the very least, say to yourself, how have I not failed? So, one example would be, one lady I saw today actually said she felt that she'd failed because her daughter was having a meltdown and screaming and shouting, and she was like, oh, I failed as a mum. You haven't failed as a mum, because you have cared enough to come into a Facebook group and ask other people for support. That's a reframe. You know, you may not have the exact result you want yet, but the very fact you feel like you failed, to me, means you didn't, because it means you still care. It means that you give a shit, and that, you know, you want to do better, and you are not afraid to ask for help, you're not afraid to ask for support. So just try and find the reframe, because how you think about something will then determine how you act around that. So don't tell yourself you failed. You can say to yourself, well, I don't have the result I want yet. How can I do that? What can I do differently? Like, what questions can I ask that maybe I haven't asked yet? Or what can I let myself off the hook for, you know? I think we're so good at giving ourselves a hard time, and it's very, very easy to do that, especially when you're tired and you're stressed and your whole life just changed. Certainly from my perspective, I'm not saying I'm never going to feel like a failure, I'm sure I will, but with the knowledge I now have, I feel like I have the option to reframe that belief. So at least be aware when it comes up. That's your first step. It's just awareness of, oh, well, isn't that funny that that's how I feel? What if this isn't failure? What if this is all perfect, and now what's the next step? How can I get back from feeling like I failed? How can I get back to feeling like I'm winning? And the other thing, the other point I want to make is this idea of expecting the bumps in the road to come. Because I think, again, it can be very jarring if you're going through life, or any experience in your life, going, oh my God, I hope this doesn't go wrong, or oh my God, I hope nothing happens, then it's going to be jarring every single time. Let's expect the bumps in the road, because what if those bumps in the road are actually building blocks to climb up on to get to the next level? What if they're not obstacles at all? What if they're actually aids to lift us up to that next level? So reframe how you see that as well. And instead of going through life going, oh my God, I hope nothing happens, why don't you go through life and say, I'm sure something will happen, but guess what? I can overcome it when it does. And I'm going to hark back to my own experience having Sophia. You know, I knew it was going to get difficult. I knew it was going to be painful. I knew it was going to be tiring. There was no getting around that. You know, when you're having a baby, or when you're doing anything in life big and significant and meaningful, it's going to be tough. There are going to be challenges. That is our existence as human beings. If I had gone into that induction thinking to myself, oh my God, I hope it doesn't hurt, oh I hope it's not hard, oh I hope this, I hope that, then when the pain came and when the challenges came, I wouldn't have been mentally prepared, because I would have been coming from a place of, oh my God, this thing happened that I didn't want to happen. Whereas instead it was like, oh okay, hi immense pain and overwhelming, you know, experience and this awful, I can't even put it into words how it feels. Hi, I've been expecting you, and guess what? I know I can get to the other side of it, so bring it on, like bring on, give me your worst, you know, give it your best shot. I know I can survive it. And so it's kind of from this mindset of expect it to come and expect to survive it. You know, expect the challenges to come and expect to overcome it. And I've said this before, but you only have to look back at your life to think, at what point did you not survive? At what point did you not overcome a challenge? There hasn't been one, because you're still here. So, you know, even if it's something you're still going through now, you're still living, you're still breathing, you're still present in this world, and you still matter. So you survived it. You are surviving it, as hard as it is. And so you can come from this place of constant resistance and constant, oh my God, it's happened again, which is tiring and is going to kind of take you down a negative path. Or you can say, okay, well, it's not what I choose, but I know I'm always okay, so bring it, I know I can do it. You know, start telling yourself that you're actually capable of this, because you are. You wouldn't be given your challenges, you wouldn't be given those experiences if you didn't have the resources to overcome it. So, oh, hi Kim, thanks. Oh, that's a really lovely thing to say. And I hope you're feeling better. I saw you were feeling poorly, you had the flu, I think. So I hope you're feeling better. And somebody else said I'm awesome, and I can't see your name, but thank you very much. It's always nice to be told that we're awesome, because we don't always feel it. I definitely don't think I look awesome today, but I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling really excited to be back on this podcast, for one. So I'm going to wrap it up there. So let me know what you think. of these mummy diaries, if you're a mummy yourself, or a dad for that matter, you know, it's not just about mums, it's about parents, then get in touch, let me know what you think about these diaries, let me know if anything resonates, let me know if there's something you're struggling with that you want me to talk about, because, you know, I'm going to be doing these once a week. There's going to be a lot I could cover, and I'm going to try and put it in a nutshell for you. So if you have gone through something, or if you're going through something and you want me to speak about it, please get in touch and let me know. I'd be more than happy. The chances are I'm going through it too, and we'll pull each other through. We'll get through it together. So awesome stuff. If you're new to the podcast, welcome and hello. Thank you for being here. Just so you know, Tuesdays are, from now on until I decide to change it again, they're going to be the Mummy Diaries. They're also going to be Q&A. Fridays episodes are always guest experts. So if you are someone who would like to be interviewed on my podcast, maybe you're an anxiety expert, maybe you have your own story that you want to share for your own healing and also to help others, whatever it may be, get in touch. I'm going to be opening my diary up again really, really soon, because I actually miss it. I love interviewing people. So please get in touch if you'd like to be on the podcast, if you feel you have something to share. And a new feature that I'm going to be introducing soon, I'm not entirely sure when, but certainly within the next month or two, is going to be a book review. So over the last few weeks, people have been sending me their books that are related to building confidence, building self-esteem, overcoming anxiety, and all of that good stuff. And I'm going to be reviewing these books, letting you know how you can download them or where you can get them from. I'm also going to be interviewing the authors and getting a bit of backstory as to where that book came from, why they wrote it, and what they hope to achieve with it. So this is just another way that I thought I could help people. Quite often you see these reading lists. People put out, oh, you should read this book, this book, this book, this book. And I find it really overwhelming, because I just think, well, crap, like, when do I have time to read 20 books or even a book? So with these episodes, I'm reading the books for you, and I'm going to give it to you in a lovely nutshell to give you a good overview of what it's about, and then you can decide if it's something you then want to go ahead and read. But I think there are so many people who have so much to share, so much inspiration that they can give others through their own stories, and this is just another way that I feel I can serve you and myself and them by bringing it to the forefront and highlighting it. So if you are an author of a book and you want to put it forward for submission, please send me an email to lilybadcock@gmail.com. In the meantime, thank you for being with me. It's awesome to be back. And if you want to get in touch, you can do. My website is lilybadcock.com. You can download the podcast from there as well. You can subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to cover, that's how you get in touch as well. And the Confidence Academy is opening its doors on the 4th of April. So in just a couple of weeks' time, we are going live. So this is a membership site. This is a way for you to come and find the support that you need. I'm going to be bringing in guest experts each month in a variety of different ways. People who work with anxiety sufferers, with depression, with stress, with self-love, all of these things, you know, nutrition, health, physical fitness, all of the elements that I personally found very useful in my own journey to overcome anxiety. And on top of that, we're kicking off with a 12-week program that starts on the 4th of April. So it's very, very low cost per month, and it's a way for you to coach with me and with all of the amazing guest experts that I have access to through the work that I do. This is really your chance to, I can't think of a better phrase, grab your anxiety by the balls and show it who's boss again. You know, your anxiety might feel like it has hold of you, but it doesn't have to. You actually are more powerful. You are always more powerful than your anxiety. This program is going to show you how you can start to believe that and how you can integrate that into your life. So if you want more information, again, go to my website, lilybadcock.com. It's the Confidence Academy Members Club. It's an ongoing monthly membership. There's no contract. You don't have to pay up front for anything. You literally just pay per month. You go through the program. You change your life. You live an epic, transformational life exactly as you would design, which is what you were put here to do. and I'm going to help you to do that, as I have been able to do for myself. So if you want more information, get on the waiting list or message me with your questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But in the meantime, thanks for being here, and remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. I'm going to be back on Friday with an amazing guest expert, but until then, have a wonderful week and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.